Can two average guys apply paint protection film to the front bumper of a Tesla Model Y? Well, I'm Frugal Tesla Guy, and you're about to find out. If you own a Tesla, then there's a good chance you have a picture or two of your family with your new pride and joy at the lot. And if you're at all like me, then you want to do everything you can to help keep your Tesla looking as pristine inside and out as the first day you drove off the lot. And one of the first things is most likely going to be the paint job. Some like to have a ceramic coating applied, and although it will help keep your car looking shinier than the day you picked it up, it still won't protect it from scratches and chips. This is where paint protection film comes in, otherwise known as PPF. Now ideally, you'll have the entire car done, but that can cost anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000, but based on what I've seen, somewhere between closer to $7,000 and $8,000. At that price, not going to happen on my salary. Now the next option is to just have the front of the car done. Also not cheap, about $2,000 give or take, and although that's much more doable, there's one more option. Order a pre-cut kit and do it yourself. The price is a little over $300, but the catch, of course, is you have to apply it yourself. Now, if you watch professionals do it, quite honestly, it's a little, if not a lot, intimidating. Now, I recently had an opportunity to help a friend apply PPF to the front bumper of his brand new Tesla Model Y Performance. Now, here's what I discovered. In order to apply PPF, you have to keep the 3 P's in mind. Number 1, preparation. You want to make sure you have everything you need ready to go and in place where you can find them when needed. Now there are 2 water solutions you'll need to mix. The first is called a slip solution, and this allows you to move the PPF freely to the position you need on the car. Now the solution is about 3 drops of baby shampoo per 24 ounces of water. Now you want to make sure you don't run out, so 2 bottles should do. The other is called a tack solution, which allows you to tack down a portion of the PPF you want to stay in place and not slide around. This is typically 3 parts water to 1 part of 70% isopropyl alcohol. Now once we unrolled the pre-cut PPF for the front bumper, we realized there were 3 separate parts. The main front bumper, a section that goes on below the vent, and a piece to protect the back bumper from mishaps while loading things like luggage into the car. We decided to cut the smaller pieces off and set those aside for now. When you're peeling the PPF off the paper, you'll be glad you have someone there to help. Now, this would be very difficult to do on your own without parts of it touching the ground or turning things into a jumbled mess. As you can see, even with the 2 of us, it looks pretty difficult. You also have to make sure to spray it with slip solution while you're peeling it off. Now once you start slipping it into place, this is when you start realizing you're gonna have to do a considerable amount of stretching. So it's best to work from one end to the other. And although it's good to have an extra set of hands, it's best for one person to do a majority of the work while the other is there to help with more aggressive stretching. You also can't have 2 people working on different parts of the bumper because someone's hard work may need to be peeled back for alignment purposes. The second P is patience. Now, this is a job that can create a lot of anxiety. There are so many things that can go wrong, so it's important to stay calm, keep a level head, and of course, be patient. Without patience, you may find yourself getting more and more frustrated to a point of just wanting to rip the PPF off the bumper, rolling it up into a ball, and throwing over $300 into the trash can. Although I was there as backup, I was thoroughly impressed with how well Rich handled himself during the process, because there were points he could have easily snapped, but he kept his cool and calmly worked through the many obstacles he was faced with, which leads us to the third P. Number 3, persistence. There will be times when it will feel like a complete loss. Parts of the PPF won't stick down or line up, but if you keep pushing forward, the first 2 P's, which preparation and patience, will eventually pay off. Now that a majority of the PPF has been applied, this is when you start working out what are known as fingers, and it may even require you to pull back a little of the material to prevent any wrinkles. Now, once again, patience will be needed to apply this step. And although it's best to try to work out the bubbles to the edges, there will be areas where that just won't be possible. Now, the best solution is to poke a small hole with a pin to let out the slip solution and air, and then you can smooth out the bubble. Now, this is what it looked like right after it was applied. Two days later, and several painstaking hours of working out the edges and bubbles, this is the final result. Next, I sat down with Rich to get his overall thoughts after the fact. Now, during the application process, at one point I asked him, if you had to do this over again, would you have a professional install it instead?
Absolutely. Once we got started and I realized that we were way over our heads with this thing, I felt terrible. I felt like it was just a horrible mistake, and I would have gladly given it up and turned it to a professional and have it done. Fortunately, neither one of us were smart enough to quit, and we continued on.
So now the question is, what kept him going?
Once you get started, you know, the money's already spent. The project's underway, and I've always got you to blame. So that was helpful. But seriously, the reality is my grandfather used to tell me, if it's broken, you can't hurt it. Take it apart and see if you can fix it. So once we got to that point, the material is already paid for. They're not going to take it back. Let's see what we can do. Continue on. And, you know, if nothing else, we've got something that we can point at and have a good laugh over.
Now that it's all over, and despite the fact there are a few imperfections in the PPF, I asked him again, if you had to do it all over again, would you have a professional do it instead?
The thing, a couple of instances, the wife and I met with some people yesterday, and they were all interested in seeing the new Tesla. I never said a thing about the front end. Nobody ever commented about what's that or what happened there. And one of my neighbors knew that we had put this on there, and he looked at it, and he didn't realize, he said, I can't even see where you put that on. So those kinds of comments have helped me to be more comfortable with the way it appears. But even without those comments, I think, personally, I think that the experience and what we have here was well worth the difference in price. And if I had it to do over again, I probably would watch a few more videos, maybe even talk to a few more experts, but I would do it again. I would do it again. I think that the savings was enormous.
Over 2 years ago, when I took delivery of my Tesla Model 3, I looked into all the options available and just didn't have the money to have a professional apply PPF to the front end of my car. The do-it-yourself option was available, I just didn't have the guts to do it. And in the end, the front of my Tesla Model 3 has been unprotected since I've had it, and have suffered the consequences as a result with several nicks and chips. Although I was the co-pilot in this operation, I did get a good sense of what it takes to successfully apply PPF to the front of a Tesla Model Y. Now, most likely, anyone that decides to take this on will have never really worked with PPF to this capacity, meaning there's a very good chance there will be imperfections with the finished product. I think if we were given another shot at this, it would turn out better, and even better if given a third try. You get the idea, the more you do it, the better you'll get. Now that's the irony of it, because by the time you perfect your PPF skills, you will have spent enough money to have someone do it for you professionally. So that's the choice you've got to make. Do you save a significant amount of money by purchasing a pre-cut do-it-yourself PPF kit and live with a few imperfections here and there? Or do you hire a professional? Now, one thing I would like to mention is that high-quality PPF, such as the Expel brand that was applied, is known to last 5 to 10 years. In fact, if it's installed by a certified professional, it will have a 10-year warranty. Now that being said, I think he'll get at least 5 years out of it, if not longer, especially if he takes care of it. So in the end, this is a choice only you can make, and hopefully this helps shed some light on what to expect when it comes to applying a do-it-yourself PPF kit. So what do you think? Is this something you see yourself taking on? Have you applied one yourself? If so, how's it holding up at this point? Let me know in the comment section below. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and stay positively charged.